Hello, this is Jeff from Merlot Embargo, and this video is a little bit of a walkthrough of the production of our song Inside My Head. So here we go. The point of this video is not necessarily a mix tutorial, so if you're looking for nuts and bolts of how to set your compressors and how to time your reverb releases and everything, this is not the video for you. This is a walkthrough of the production, and I'm going to go through the various instruments that we recorded and how I treated the vocals as far as how many layers and that kind of stuff. So not necessarily what the mix engineer did to this song, although all that influences the mix decisions. There's a maxim that says good mixing is good arranging. I believe that. So with that being said, I'm going to show you how we go from this.
Check your attitude, you said, as you tried to get inside my head. A little gratitude, you said,
To this. So yeah, start us off as many songs do with the phone recording. Scarlett is my wife and our songwriter and singer, and usually she has the idea for the song and she'll throw it down on a phone recording. Sometimes we'll mess around with it beforehand and I'll play guitar and she'll sing it, so we have something to work with. Sometimes not, but that's this track I played here. I'm not sure if that's her or me playing guitar, but it doesn't really matter. I like to pull in the original phone recording into the actual DAW session, just because sometimes there's a little bit of magic that happens in that original recording, and there's some spark or something there that I want to be able to refer to and not lose it as I add layers and change tempos and do all the things that you do to make a song, to produce a song. Yeah, so you can also hear the song's in a different key too. If you listen to Scarlett's voice here in particular, let's turn this off and go back to the actual session here.
I could have done, but it's easier said. Who am I to thank for?
You can hear it's fairly high in her range, which means she's pushing her voice, singing her, well, she's in her head, chest voice there, but also she's pushing herself, kind of more of her power zone. But the song, we felt that the song should be a little more mellow. So this is an E, this original one, I believe. The E. Tried to get inside my head. A little gratitude, you said, goes a long way. Yeah, that's an E. And we dropped it down to B, so that's a whole fourth different. That's a big change. And you'll see that as we progress. So that was one big change. In this first session here, there's not too much. It's just some ideas. It's a place to throw some ideas down. You can kind of hear I did some things that we didn't keep.
As you, but how can I be thankful for the day?
A lot of that stuff just, didn't take. It didn't like it ultimately, so we tossed it. But let me switch over to the other session in the key of B, and you can see how the song progressed into that. So I'll pause the video and restart it when I get there. All right, and here we are back in a new live session. I should mention I use two DAWs. I like Ableton Live for pre-production, and it's good for some live performance stuff too. The scene thing is kind of awesome for playing live and looping and all that, and I do enjoy that. But as far as producing a song goes, one of the things that's great about live is it's really easy to change tempos and move clips around, and it all just because they warp their clips so that it aligns with the tempo of the song. You can turn that off, but it makes arranging your song form very efficient and easy and straightforward. So, for example, here is the original.
Check your attitude, he said.
Still in the key of E. Now, if I wanted to hear that slower or faster, I just went to 120.
Check your attitude, he said, as you try to get inside.
Now you can hear the artifacts there, but if you do a little change.
Check your attitude, he said, as you try.
It's pretty transparent, right? So that's one of the things I like about working in live as far as pre-production goes. You can also see I've pulled in some other references that I liked for various things. I like having those in the session as well, just to refer to them quickly.
I saw you standing there, sandy blonde hair, the way it came tumbling down.
This one, maybe I like the kick. Anyway, I'd like to. It's nice to have those.
True, it's a dance, we know the moves.
So yeah, let's just play this as is, and we can talk about it for a sec. But so this is now in the key of B. Sorry, not that reference track. Sorry, I was adjusting the volume. I hope I didn't blow anything out on that. So at one point I obviously thought an oboe would be cool. They're all still soft instruments.
How can I be thankful for the dead? Who am I to thank for all the times I've bled? I could have.
You can kind of hear it's coming together a little bit more. I have the strummed guitar in there somewhere. I think that electric guitar idea, yeah, made it the final cut. The drums are real simple in here, just kicking and a backbeat. And I threw this synth bass in. A little bit uprighty almost, and we ended up actually going with an upright sound. But you can see, in this second section, it's not too complicated of a session. We kind of got the key and the feel and the form, and so once a song is to this point, if I were in any other DAW besides Ableton, I would export a tempo map via a MIDI file and just import that into Pro Tools, and we'd be good to go. But this is the biggest defect in Ableton, in my opinion, is that you can't actually do that, as far as I know. And I did spend a few hours trying to figure out and research it at one point. So what I have to do is take screenshots of any tempo changes and manually input those into Pro Tools. Fortunately, this song, we didn't have any tempo changes. We just stuck at one tempo the whole time, so it's not too much of an issue. But for other songs, it has been a giant pain in the ass. So let's jump over to Pro Tools, and we'll keep going. Okay, so here we are in our Pro Tools session. I have deleted all my references, apparently, for unknown reasons. But yeah, you can see all the final takes in here. This is once I moved the session over to Pro Tools. That's about that's where I like to do all my final recordings if I'm not keeping them from the previous takes. I just prefer the recording and mixing and editing functions in Pro Tools compared to other DAWs. The muscle memory is a little easier for me, although you can do all the same things. You can see there's not a whole lot of tracks in here. So there's some vocals, a few guitars, keys, bass and drums, and then some sound effects and a little bit of percussion. That's really it. There's not a whole lot going in this session. There's two guitars in here. One is this guitar. I can't get audio from the drive fast enough. Well, I am working off the network drive. So anyway, that's a Gibson Advanced Jumbo recorded. Not complicated, just with this mic actually. It's a Lewitt 414. Let me hold it in front of my shirt so you can see it. There you go. No, sorry, not a Lewitt 414, a 640. But it's like a poor man's version of. I shouldn't say that. It's a good mic in its own right, but it's similar to a AKG C414. Very low noise, transparent, honest microphone. And you stick that thing in front of the 12th fret, and it sounds great on almost every guitar. Or other sources too. The other guitar is my Taylor. It's playing that lead line. So the two of those together. Also a glockenspiel somewhere where I doubled that lead line. Where is it? Oh, I didn't do it in the top. Here we go. Yeah. And that's a real glockenspiel, not a sample. Not that you couldn't use a sample, of course. Samples are pretty good nowadays. So that's it. There's only those two acoustic guitars. This one basically strums the entire song. And the other plays that finger picking the whole song. My God, Pro Tools. There's a couple of electric guitars. One is playing that kind of that lead. I think it's an octave lower. Simple. In the chorus, he's doing that thing that I showed in the other session.
How can I be thankful for the dead? Who am I to thank for all the times I bled? I could have done, but it's...
So that's cool. The other electric guitar is literally just ambience. Real washy, reverbed out. So I typically don't record with a lot of effects. I tend to leave that to the mixed stage. I try to get the arrangement right, and the arrangement as good as I can without worrying too much about the effects. So and that's the way I think too. So I don't think in terms of fixing problems I hear with mix type solutions. So if something's not working, the first thing I reach for is usually, oh, what instrument can I mute, or can I double this with something, or should we change the key, or should we make it bigger or smaller? Because I come from a background of live music and playing in bands and stuff, and so the tools that are most accessible to me or most in my muscle memory are band kind of tools, right? Arranger kind of tools. So, have somebody play something different, double it with another instrument, thin down the texture, not, mix tools that can achieve some of the same things, but I just don't go to that first. So all that being said is I try to get the arrangement right, with the exception of if there is a particular thing that I'm hearing, then I'll put those effects in before I send off to the mix engineer. Like in this case, this is a real spacey, verbed out, guitar sound, right? So if I bypass all these, it's pretty boring. So delay before the reverb in this case to kind of get some of that shoegaze tone, I suppose. Yeah, so bass and drums on this song are not complicated, but they are cool. Recorded an upright bass. Yeah, Pro Tools is really just taking it, whatever. But anyway, you can hear what that sounds like. And you can see these are my references. So I have a tuned version that I tuned up in Melodyne on a few notes to send as a reference for my mix engineer who just wanted the raw tracks. And the raw tracks are these three. There's a high, a low, and I also recorded the pickup. The low was again with this mic. I use it for almost everything. And it's probably a foot away from the body or so, and you can hear it kind of captures that lower tone. And the high mic was to catch some of the fingerboard stuff. You hear the difference in those tones. And the high mic was, if you're like this, it was probably here or something, right, as you're playing. And I recorded the pickup as well, just to sometimes it's easier to see what's happening if you get a nice clean DI signal, if you're going to do some edits or whatever. But I don't think we ended up using it. Both mics together. And the pickup sounds like a pickup. Right? So that's the bass. Drums are real simple. Well, he had a simple part. My recording setup was just kick in and out, snare top and bottom, rack tom, floor tom. I threw a hi-hat mic in there. Didn't really need it for this song at all. I doubt Patrick used it in the final mix. Overheads. I do overheads most often with the recorder man method, which I can put a note to in the note section here. And that is a way to space your stereo pair equidistant from the kick and equidistant from the snare for both mics, so that when the sound hits the mics, it arrives at both mics at the same instant, and you have a nice solid center image for both kick and snare, so it doesn't lean to the left as it would if the left mic heard the drum sound first, or lean to the right if the right mic heard it first. So they're exactly equidistant, and it's pretty simple, but it's a neat little trick. The mics do look a little wonky because one of them ends up being over the drummer's, like typically if it's a right-handed drummer, over the drummer's kind of right shoulder, I guess. It seems a little weird, but it works great, and I love it. It doesn't give you quite as wide of a stereo field as you might get with a really widely spaced pair. But I don't know. I'm not recording math rock. I don't need my toms to go from all the way across. So, this is for another kind of music, I might want something different. But for what I do, this is perfect. And there's also a room mic in here too. Kind of hear it. Pretty simple. The drums were recorded in this room, so the room mic was on the ceiling over there. I have stuff hanging from the ceiling because this is a pretty small space to try and maximize my my space here. Did a couple of other percussion layers. There's a shaker, and I recorded this little brushes on the snare, and of course quantized the hell out of that brush part because it was me playing it, not our real drummer.
Get inside my head. No, not.
Some snaps. I'm sure that's just me going like this. There's also some effects. Oh, let's talk about the keyboards, actually. We didn't skip those. Yeah, so set this to our keyboard player, Dave. We didn't record it live, but he did send me tracks. The song is sort of vibey, and to him it kind of evoked this sort of Twin Peaks deserted desert gas station creepy kind of thing. So he thought that Wurlitzer was the right choice, and I agree. Has kind of a haunting vibe. He also sent me these, he called them tape strings. I think it's a Spitfire sound or something. But you can hear that definitely sounds like it's coming out of a transistor radio in you know, an abandoned gas station in you know, in the middle of Arizona or something. Pretty creepy and haunting. Have some reverse Wurlitzer parts. And you can see I did some clip gain automation. That's one thing I like to do. I would usually reach first for adjusting clip gain like this over changing compression ratios and thresholds. Just because I know it's going to work right. And I'm sort of a detail nerd like that. Although, if you look at the lead vocal here, excuse me, I did a lot less clip gain adjustment than I normally do. I did a little bit of automation here. Mostly this is to bring up the tails of some notes. So like,
my head.
So without that,
My head.
kind of disappears.
My head.
Right, so you can hear that it holds on to that. So I do a lot of that. You can fix that with compression too, but I tend to leave those decisions till later in my production, or leave it to the mix engineer entirely. But yeah, speaking about vocals, there's not a whole lot. There's 6 vocal tracks. There's only 2 parts though. There's this main vocal.
Check your attitude, you say. Not inside my head.
And it stays solo all the way until the second verse, at which point I join her.
Stop for a minute, crawling.
And that's single vocals until that last chorus, at which point we add the doubles in. And that, you know, it's not necessary. Well, none of this is necessary, but it just adds a widening effect.
How can I be thankful for the day?
Versus without them.
How can I be thankful for the day?
It just makes it feel a little bit bigger, a little more.
How can I be thankful for the day? Who am I to thank for all the times I've believed?
And I can't show it in here because I think it's already done, but I do tune up all my vocals before I send them. Well, I was going to show you the playlists of the untuned vocals, but I guess they're not in this session somehow. I must. Oh, I know, because I printed everything and deleted all the unused playlists to send this to my mix engineer. Anyway, I do tune it up all in Melodyne somewhat. Scarlett's pretty tight. She doesn't usually need a lot of tuning. But one of the things Melodyne's great for is also adjusting timing. So when you have a big vocal stack like this, sometimes one voice might hold on to a note a little bit longer or start it earlier or whatever, right? And Melodyne makes adjusting that and getting all the syllables to line up just super straightforward. Honestly, it feels like cheating. Makes tightening up the vocals a little bit easier. If you listen to this, like, these are even just me, and I'm not a great singer, right?
How can I be thankful for the dead? Who am I to thank for all the times I've bled?
Other than that, there's a few little effecty things. Did some reverse sounds to change for new sections. You know, there's some of that here and here. Oh my God. You know, some reversed things here too. Yeah, there's some pad sounds I added. Oh yeah, I felt like the song was missing a little bit in the low mids at this point, so I added this this sort of serum bass preset, and I added a tremolo. The tremolo is after the fact, so here's the preset on its own. You know, sits in the mix.
Inside my head, you can't get.
I thought that the tremolo kind of helps add to that haunting vibe of this song. So I did that on a couple of things. I did it on this Juno patch that I recorded live, actually. Let's turn that up so you can hear it. It's down in the mix right now, but so that's my real live Juno, not a soft instrument. But I added the tremolo again for. You hear me playing with the filter a little bit. So one of the magic of synthesizers, if you're using soft synths, play with automating your filter, and that's just, you know, it's a cheap, easy way to get some nice change. I do it all the time with live synthesizers too, and I think the last pad is just a serum preset here. I felt like we needed some high sparkle, so I added it, and that's it. That's the song.
How can I be thankful for the day? Who am I to thank for all the times I've bled?
And that's what went to Patrick, the mix engineer.
I could have done, but it's easier said. And you don't know me, and you can get inside my head. You can get.
Yeah, so you can hear, you know, he had definitely improved things, but since this is not a mix tutorial, I'm not going to go into what he did, and I don't know, I even know all the things that he did. But what I try to do is get the arrangement, as like I said, as good as I can before I send it off, and so that's what we did here. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Have a good one. Talk to you later.